They said the cabin was worthless. Rotting wood, no plumbing, too far out. They laughed when the will named me. Let 'em have it, they said. It's just a shack in the woods. But they forgot something. My grandfather didn't leave junk. He left puzzles. And this one held the secret they spent decades trying to bury. My name is Noah. I'm 49. Until last fall, I hadn't been back to the woods in 30 years. I had no plans to return. Not after what happened when I was a kid. Not after what we don't talk about in our family. But when my grandfather died, the lawyer called and said, "The property goes to you. Only you." I asked, "What property?" He said, "The cabin." I laughed. Then I stopped laughing, because I remembered what I saw there when I was 12, and what they made me forget. The drive took 6 hours. Last 40 minutes, no cell signal, just trees, old fences, gravel like broken teeth under my tires. The air got quieter, thicker. The deeper I went, the more it felt like the forest was watching me. Then I saw it, still standing. The cabin. Wood darker than I remembered. Windows fogged with age. Porch sagging to the left. But there it was, exactly as it looked when I was 12, except quieter, like it had been waiting. I stepped inside. Same creaking boards, same wood smoke scent sealed into the walls, but colder. I found the key in the same rusted can under the step, unlocked the door, pushed it open, and it groaned like it hadn't breathed in years. Dust danced in the light, and then something moved, fast, in the corner of my eye. I froze. Nothing, just shadows and memory. That night I couldn't sleep, not because of animals, not even the creaking roof, but because the cabin felt alive, like it remembered me, and like it was about to ask, "Why did you come back now?" The first was the drawer. I opened it looking for candles. Instead, I found a small box wrapped in cloth, tucked beneath a stack of water-damaged field maps. Inside, a pocket knife I hadn't seen in 30 years, a note in my grandfather's hand. "If you're reading this, then you're ready." Ready for what, Grandpa? Under that, a folded photograph. 3 boys in front of the cabin. One was me. The other 2, I didn't recognize, but one had a scar across his cheek. And I remembered the scar. I remembered the shouting. I remembered blood on the wooden floor. Then nothing. That memory had been locked away for decades, until now. And the cabin was unlocking more than just boxes. The next morning, I walked the perimeter, found a shallow pit behind the tool shed. Inside, scraps of metal, a melted lock, charred paper. Someone had burned something, recently. Not 20 years ago, this year. I started digging, not just the ground, but the past. Old county records, deeds, police reports, everything tied to this land and this cabin. And then I found it. A name I hadn't heard since I was a boy. A name my family never mentioned. And a case that was closed in 1993, with no body. His name was Mason Weller. 12 years old. Last seen summer of 93. Same summer I stayed at the cabin for 3 weeks. Same summer my parents picked me up early. No explanation, just panic and packed bags. The report said he was last seen with friends near the tree line. There was no follow-up, no charges, no answers. Just one note scribbled in the margins of the police file. Refused to allow interview with minor witness. Family uncooperative. That minor witness was me. I tried to remember. Mason. That name. Then it clicked. He was one of the boys in the photo. The one with the scar. I could see it now. Standing next to me on the porch. We were smiling. But I remembered something behind his smile. Fear. Back in the cabin, I searched everything. Behind the fireplace, I found another hollow. Inside, a wrapped parcel. Inside that, pages from a journal. My grandfather's handwriting. It wasn't a diary. It was a confession. Fragments at first. He came back that night. I didn't know what else to do. Buried under the West Maple. I stood up so fast the chair nearly fell. There was a massive old maple just west of the cabin. It had been there forever. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if it was shade or a secret marker. The West Maple was massive. Its roots coiled like veins above the dirt. Thick, old, quiet. But I remembered what the journal said, under the West Maple. So I started digging, first with a trowel, then with both hands. The soil was stubborn, packed, dry, like it had been holding something too long. Then I hit it. Metal. Not a coffin, a box. Rust-eaten, heavy. I pulled it up, heart pounding. Inside, a child's watch, a name tag. Mason Weller, a leather strap with dried blood and a tape cassette in a Ziploc bag. I sat on the porch, shaking. Not from cold, from memory. It all came back. That night, the shouting, the slamming door, Mason running, me hiding in the corner, my grandfather yelling, "No one tells anyone what happened here." I borrowed a cassette player from the general store in town, plugged in the tape, pressed play. At first, static. Then, if anything ever happens to me, I need someone to know. It was Mason, a scared boy's voice. They said I had to forget, but I can't, and I think something bad is going to happen. Silence. Then another voice, older, gruff, my grandfather. "You talk again, boy, and you'll wish you disappeared sooner." Click. I sat there for an hour, staring into the trees. This wasn't just about inheritance. This was about a buried crime, and a family that buried me with it. I drove to town that same afternoon, walked into the county sheriff's office with a dirt-covered box under my arm, said 7 words. "I think I found a missing kid." They took me seriously, asked for everything, bagged the box, photographed the watch, listened to the tape. The deputy's face went pale halfway through. They opened a decades-old cold case that night. For a moment, I thought it was over, that the truth would finally breathe. But the next morning, I woke up to this. My truck's tires slashed, my mailbox torn open, a note pinned to the porch, "Let sleeping dogs lie." No signature, just a photo of me and my grandfather, taken from the woods. Someone knew I was back, someone was watching, and someone wasn't happy. I called the sheriff. They sent a patrol once, looked around, said the woods were too deep, too easy to disappear. They offered to keep an eye out, but I knew better. I started sleeping with a flashlight and a hammer. Every creak of wood, every bird cry at night felt like a warning. This cabin had held secrets for decades, and some of them weren't ready to be let out. I wasn't planning to search the attic, but the wind knocked open a panel I'd never noticed, just above the old dresser. Inside, a hollow space, dusty, tight, and something wrapped in canvas. I pulled it out and unwrapped the fabric with trembling hands. Inside, one sealed envelope, yellowed, taped shut twice. On the front, in my grandfather's writing, "Only if Daniel ever comes back, no one else." My heart stopped. He'd written this for me. The letter was 3 pages, written shaky. At night, probably. It started like a confession, but turned into something worse. "I tried to protect you from the others. You were the only one I trusted to forget. Your mother and father, they knew. Rachel helped keep it quiet. Mason saw too much. I made it stop, and they helped me bury it. I dropped the page. My mother, my father, my sister, they'd been there. They weren't just silent. They were complicit. The image of my childhood collapsed in on itself. Every warm smile, every family gathering, now soaked in blood I didn't see as a child. They didn't protect me. They used me as a lockbox and left me in the woods to forget. I knew what I had to do. I scanned every page, recorded a video, told the full story, names, dates, photos, uploaded it to a secure folder, gave the password to a lawyer, wrote one sentence in the email: "If anything happens to me, release this to the press." Rachel was the first to show up. White SUV, designer coat, fake concern on her face like makeup that didn't fit. "You've stirred up a lot, Noah. This could ruin the whole family." I stared at her. "The whole family? Or just you?" She didn't answer. Next came the phone calls, blocked numbers, voicemails from our mother's old friends saying I was causing trouble. One message said I should be grateful the past didn't destroy more than it did. Whatever that meant. Then came the offer. A lawyer, professional tone, clean briefcase. "The family is willing to buy back the property. Full market value, no questions asked." I laughed in his face. "This land is built on secrets. I'm not selling it back to the people who buried them here." They realized I wasn't bluffing. They stopped asking. They started warning. "You're not safe out here. You think the town will believe your version? Some things are better left buried." I just smiled. "Then why are you so afraid of the shovel?" I held a public screening. Local library. Dozens of people. Sheriff's office present. I played the tape, read the letter, shared the documents, showed the photos. People wept. Some left. But no one could unsee it now. The truth wasn't just out. It was planted. And it would grow, whether they liked it or not. Everyone told me to leave. Sell it, torch it, move on. But I stayed, because leaving would have meant they won. And silence again. Instead, I rebuilt, sanded the floors, repaired the porch, hung up a new sign near the mailbox. It read, "For those they tried to erase." No names, no slogans, just a place for the forgotten. I turned the back room into an archive. Photos, letters, stories from others who'd come forward after the article. Turns out, this town had more buried than just Mason. A woman whose sister vanished in 1989. A boy whose uncle disappeared during a hunting trip. A family that was told never to ask questions about 1974. They came to the cabin. We sat. We shared. We remembered. Not to punish the past, but to pull its teeth. One day, I planted a tree next to the old maple. New soil, new roots. Under it, I buried Mason's watch. Not as a grave, as a promise. You're not forgotten. Not anymore. My family never spoke to me again. No letters, no lawsuits, no calls. Just absence. The same silence they once used as a weapon. But now it was mine, and I wore it like peace. The cabin became something different. Not a home, not a crime scene, but a place where the past breathed without fear, where stories were safe, where no child had to forget to survive. Sometimes I still walk to the West Maple, stand between the trees, feel the wind move through the leaves like breath. I think about Mason. I think about my grandfather, what he did, what he chose not to say. And I think about myself, a man who inherited a lie and rewrote it into something that could finally breathe. Some people leave behind money, land, names carved into stone. Mine left a puzzle, a shadow, and a key. And what I built with that wasn't revenge. It was clarity. And nothing they ever buried was stronger than what I decided to grow.